ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Good morning. Everyone is so tired. So we are summarizing.
India timing, we are doing good.
Welcome back to America. We are summarizing chapter 14 of the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto. I was told 14.
That's fine.
It's okay. I'm just.
That's fine.
So
that yesterday Bhagavad Gita chapter 14.
So today is 11?
Today is 11.
Perfect. We'll go to chapter 11. No
Fine,
problem.
that's fine.
no, we
you
have
finished
14 also. What is it?
No. We are Bhagavatam chapter 14.
Is what Prabhu just prepared.
Prepared.
Yes, Prabhu.
Clear that down, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So sorry.
What's that?
So chapter 14, it is about ideal family life. No wonder I like this chapter. Alright. Because there's nothing that I can speak from experience, so I can just stick to the book. So Srila Prabhupada summarizes the chapter and we'll take that summary. Yudhishthir Maharaj is very eager to ask Narad Muni, my dear sir, please tell us what are the occupational duties for the householder. That is the English translation, householder. Today a householder has many other assets other than a house. Sometimes people take that literally, only a householder. So grihastha. Yeah. So when a person in family life takes shelter of a roof where they feel secure, that is called grihastha ashram. All the other ashrams, there are 3 other ashrams, right? Brahmachari, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. None of them have the facility that one has in grihastha life. They don't have a roof over their head, basically. They have tree tops over their head. There's a sky over their head. So since the other 3 ashrams, they depend on the natural resources, there is not much that they need in terms of their existence for their livelihood. But because a householder or a grihastha has built a shelter for themselves, for oneself and their family, therefore, there are certain duties that become mandatory for them. How is it practical in today's times? Please don't ask me. See if it is applicable. See if the principles are applicable. Okay? It's not that every word has to be accepted as mandatory norm, a mandatory norm. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was very inquisitive. I mean, Yudhishthira Maharaj had things going on well for him. Still is very inquisitive. So if we have things going on well for ourselves, we can also become inquisitive. There's no problem. What was he inquisitive about? Occupational duties for the householder. So Narada Muni tells him the first duty of a householder. And interestingly, after that, I never found the second duty in the summary. It's very interesting. So the first duty here would mean the most important. It's not about hierarchy. It's not about numbers. Like Prathama. Prathama could be somebody who's first, or Prathama could be that which is most important. So here it is Prathama. So a householder's first duty is, or a Grihastha's first duty is, to be fully dependent on Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. Makes sense? Why not Lord Keshav? Why not Lord Madhav? Obviously, could be. Lord Madhav would be more practical, isn't it? The husband of the goddess of fortune. Or Keshava, one with beautiful looks, especially beautiful hair. Or the enemy of the Keshi demon. Yeah, Vasudeva. Because the vision in Grahastha ashram, the outlook towards life has to be very broad minded. Very, very broad minded. Grahastha ashram is for somebody that has a large heart and especially very open arms, hands at giving. So Lord Vasudeva is one who blesses you in all circumstances because he exists in all circumstances. So Vasudeva Krishna. Or maybe Narada Muni is trying to impress Krishna because Yudhishthira is the cousin. Yudhishthira is cousin, no? Brother of Krishna, right? So what is Krishna's father's name? Vasudeva. So he says Vasudeva. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, maybe he feels happy. Everything is within the family. So he says that is a first and foremost duty, to be fully dependent on Vasudeva Krishna. Oh, that is nice. So if I'm fully dependent, now Krishna has to take care of me. So he clarifies and he says, and try to satisfy him in all respects. So now we have to take care of Krishna. A Grihastha has to take care of Krishna. So we have to satisfy the Lord by being fully dependent on the Lord. And how does one satisfy the Lord? By executing one's prescribed duties in devotional service. All right? Let me change the settings here. Yeah. So one has to execute one's duties. Fortunately for us, those are prescribed duties. So we don't have to figure out, is that fortunate or unfortunate? What do you think? Is it fortunate or unfortunate? Fortunate. So from tomorrow onwards, this is not mentioned here, but I'm just trying to sidetrack. From tomorrow onwards, you're going to go out of your house and shout out, is anyone hungry? Is anyone hungry? Is there any hungry soul in the neighborhood? Or knock on doors and ask them. Because that is prescribed. So is it fortunate? Anyways, so one's duties are prescribed. Therefore, they are called as prescribed duties. Prescribed by whom? Prescribed by the scriptures. Scriptures have been explained by who? By great saintly personalities. Where did they get the understanding of the scriptures from? Either from the Lord directly or an empowered personality who is empowered by the potency of the Lord or other great personalities. So they got the information from there. And then one has to execute devotional service. So basically, one has to execute prescribed devotional service. So prescribed devotional service also includes our duties. There are duties that have to be done on a daily basis and the duties that have to be done on special occasions. There's so much in human form of life, isn't it? Yeah. Why? Why does one have to do that? The reason one has to do that is because one has asked the question, what should one do as a grihastha? If one had never asked a question, then one would never have known.
Yudhishthira's mistake.
Yudhishthira Maharaj is being specially inquisitive. So this devotional service is dependent on certain factors. Okay? What is it dependent on? Instructions. Instructions from established, accepted sources of authority. Is that helpful? Established and acceptable sources of authority. You need that, no? You need to have somebody or a body tell you what are the directions that you have to follow for any activity. So that is what is being stated here. So for devotional service also, one has to do that. And one also has to depend on good association. Because if you have anything to discuss or you need more clarity, it's helpful to have good association. Correct. What if you want to know something about engineering and all your associates are lawyers? They have never ever studied engineering books. What would happen? You're in trouble. Correct? So, what is good association? Good association is that which helps you have clarity in your life and resolve challenges that you have in your life. Good association is not like birds of a feather flock together. Not exactly that. All right. Good association is where you are able to resolve the challenges or find resolution to the challenges that you have. Or good association is that which helps you have clarity. Now, if you are engaged in prescribed devotional service, it is but important that such association is also within the realm of prescribed devotional service. So we have to try and seek association of those who are also practicing devotional service. If they're not practicing devotional service, at least they are engaged directly or indirectly in devotional service. That is the requirement for a devotee in the Grahastha ashram or a person in the Grahastha ashram. So the first activity and the important activity of following one's occupational duty is to hear attentively and assimilate. It is called as Shravanam. We'll be very fortunate if we can hear from personalities that have realization. Yes? Now, there can be exceptions. If you are highly perceptive, then you can also learn lessons from those who are not very much evolved. But those are exceptional cases. True? Like somebody, um, Srila Prabhupada, let's take his example. The postman comes to him. Prabhupada sometimes he would use postal peon. In India we say peon. Postal, the postman. I'm not trying to be racist here. It can be postwoman also. The postal person. Yes, he comes to deliver the post and he says, Swamiji, if you would write books rather than publish this paper that you have, Prabhupada would publish a fortnightly 4-page paper. He would call it the Back to Godhead magazine. This is 4 pages, front, back, and it's like folded section. You open it up, and that's it. He said, Swamiji, if you write books, books will stay forever. Prabhupada had realization, isn't it? Prabhupada felt that this is his spiritual master speaking to the postal person, postman. So these are exceptional cases, exceptions. Most of Prabhupada's hearing was from acharyas. He had heard from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur directly. He had also heard from the written works of the acharyas. He had heard from the devotees of the Gaudiya Math. So it is helpful to hear from somebody who's also practicing and has realization. Very helpful. So that is what is the duty. In this way, a grihastha's attraction to his family members will gradually be reduced. A grihastha's attraction to the family members will gradually be reduced. Now, this becomes a little difficult to speak about in today's times. Because how much is good reduction and how less is not good reduction? A family attraction, how do we define that? So 20 years from now, 20 years before, if you'd asked me, I would have given you some very tangential answer. In today's times, life has taught us many lessons. So today, this is just a statement that I offer to you. Take it how you may. But it seems that if someone is inclined to be slightly free from unwanted affectionate gestures being shown to other members of the family, if it is unwanted, unnecessary, then Shravanam helps. What is Shravanam?
Yeah.
Shravanam is trying to hear about subject matters on which you need clarity. Shravanam is, otherwise we can do Shravanam like the middle-aged lady in a satsang program. You know the middle-aged lady that was doing Shravan every single day she would come to hear. You heard that? You heard about this lady? You haven't heard about the lady? Okay. So every single day the lady would come for satsang program. It was a 7-day satsang program or a 10-day satsang program. Oh, thank you. So she would come and she would listen very attentively, and quite often she would have tears in her eyes. Somehow or the other, the speaker noticed her. So at the end of the entire session, 7-day session, 10-day session, she comes up to the speaker to seek blessings. The speaker, he exp- expresses his appreciation towards her. He said, I've seen that every single day you come and sit here, you listen attentively, and you have tears in your eyes. All right? That would give me a lot of inspiration to speak. Could you tell me what are some of the narration, which part of the narration really touched you? The lady said, I did not understand anything. Just like Lord Chaitanya said, I heard everything, but your explanations are not understandable. So the lady said, I did not understand anything. So the speaker said, then why were you crying? She said, whenever I looked at you and you would be so intensely speaking, your hair and your beard would kind of just float around, and I would remember my male goat who had beard like you. And the reason I was coming to this satsang program is because the goat died and I needed to have peace of heart. So what is Shravan? Shravanam is not just hearing. What is Shravanam? Shravanam is to hear such that one has better clarity in life. All right? Especially about how to be very focused in life. Whatever may be our goal. If our goal is to become Krishna conscious, that is a very respectable goal. But otherwise, too, Shravan means to hear with clarity, or to hear from someone that can help one have clarity. So when one has clarity, unwanted, unneeded show of affection reduces. Do you sometimes feel that in family life there are either occasional or a little more than occasional instances where you have to put up a facade?
Now,
Never felt like that. Okay. Like, let's say somebody has cooked something at home and you only get a serving if you say it is smells so nice, the fragrance is good. Do you need to kind of, wow, I just cannot wait to have a serving? Yes, especially if their guests come and you and your family is the host and somebody in your family has cooked the food. Is it important to show solidarity with a family member? You're like, okay, I better control my tongue. That is the time you actually understand you have the potential to be a yogi. Meet the bhashi, control the tongue. Then you have to keep on encouraging your children. So every time a child does something which to you is like, I would never do say that to anyone except a child. Like, well done, amazing, shows of affection. You need to put up a show. Sometimes, as we're putting up a show, we never realize when we become intensely attached. So he says that if one worships Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, taking shelter of him and trying to satisfy him, then this is the result. So Yudhishthir Maharaj does realize that Narad Muni is being very theoretical here. So his vibes touch Narad Muni too. Narad Muni can feel those vibrations that Yudhishthir Maharaj is concerned. He's concerned about what? He's concerned that if the Grahastha simply focuses on just Shravan, the way it is defined in devotional circles, or if the Grahastha simply focuses on completely being dependent on Krishna, then what about the other aspects of life? For example, whenever the need is there, the Grahastha has to go and change the diaper of the baby. Correct? Now let's suppose you are completely dependent, fully dependent on Krishna. Now, if you're fully dependent on Krishna, there's a possibility that you can hear your doorbell ring and a young boy or a young mate comes up there and says, do you have some work for me? I can be a sitter, I can take. It's possible, highly improbable. Krishna doesn't always come to serve buttermilk to great saints or pots. He does it occasionally to Madhavendra Puri. After that, he tells Madhavendra Puri, now take care of yourself. He may have come other times too. But the understanding is that he only does it once. Hence, Narada Muni, understanding Yudhishthir Maharaj's internal dilemma, he starts explaining about how a grahastha should take care of the maintenance of one's family affairs. What are the ways of maintenance for one's family? How should it be done? So, for maintenance of family, one needs to have an earning, a livelihood. Yes, correct. So, at that point of time, typically, it is very interesting that in this summary, Srila Prabhupada gives only one particular occupation as the means of earning for a grihastha. Just one. And based on that, he gives some subsidiary occupational facilities. Do you know what occupation does he recommend? This would make the person in absentia today quite happy. Banamali Gopal.
Family.
Yes. He says agriculture is the occupation for grahasthas. Now you can also cultivate people in the IT industry. That is also farming. Farming recruits.
I've already done that.
I realize that.
In business also
The,
you can.
the vibes.
In business also you can do
You
farming.
can do farming. So it says farming, and based on farming, you can do business. Vaninchi. Because during Yudhishthira Maharaj's time, we do not have any reference that he had introduced the idea of any form of currency. There were no coins introduced, no paper currency, nothing digital, obviously. So the only assets that could be traded was what he grew. Whatever you could grow off the land is what you could trade, or whatever you could conserve that nature would offer you. It could be water, so you let the water collect in a pond and then you could lease out the water if you want to, or you collect forest produce, or you do farming. Anything else? You could do mining.
Gold and silver,
Mining.
jewels.
So anything that comes off the earth or out of the earth is the occupation that you could be in. So because of that, typically there would be only one member or a particular gender that would engage in earning the livelihood. Everyone else would support that gender. Yes? Hence, whenever occupational duties are spoken about in Grahastha Ashram, in terms of maintenance, a lot of emphasis is put on the male gender and their duties. So while earning, what should the person be doing? One should be very, very conscientious. One should be very, very much aware of how, why, and where one is making that earning. You've heard of that story that post Dwapar Yoga, or it was the last day of Dwapar Yoga and the first day of Kali Yoga. It's just a story. Sometimes stories help you understand a point. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is already the king. So two brothers come to Yudhishthir Maharaj for justice. One brother has sold his land to another brother. So the older one has sold his land to the younger one. So the younger one is tilling the land and he finds buried wealth. So both the brothers have come to the court of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So the elder brother says that I already sold the land. So now whatever is found in the land is a property of my younger brother. So I have no claim over it. You've never heard this before? Arre Bapre. Good.
Why did he go to the court?
Because they were fighting. The younger brother comes and says that I only bought the land, not what was hidden in the land.
This is the
So
first case of everyone, I think, that fighting over who doesn't get to go. All these stories of right, I want to go, I want to go. They don't want to.
So you like the story as of now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was Dwapara.
The last day of the opera.
Yeah.
Next day
Last-
would have been different.
So the younger brother wants to give that wealth to the older brother. The older brother says, "No, this is not mine, it's yours." So they have come to the court. Yudhishthir Maharaj says, "Tarik pe tarik." You know what is tarik pe tarik? Yudhishthir Maharaj says, "Okay, I'll think about it. Come tomorrow." Tomorrow they come to court and they say that we are changing our petition. The older brother says that that wealth is mine because I just sold the land.
Never mind.
And the younger one says that, no, it's mine. So Yudhishthira Maharaj turns towards his ministers and he asks, what happened? They said, Yudhishthira Maharaj, you need a new calendar now. It is a new year, new yuga has come in. Welcome to the new age of Kali Yuga. So one has to be very conscientious. Now, this is being spoken in Dwapar Yuga, so there can be some lenience shown to us, we can kind of say, oh, it was. But why should one be very, very conscious? One should be very, very diligent because the mind is very, very fertile. It is intensely and amazingly fertile. Amazing. For example, let's say you're driving down the road, all right, and you notice one of the signs, whatever it is, and you've not really paid attention to it. Let's say the sign says wheeling. You haven't paid attention to it. But 2 months down the line, somebody says, hey, I was just going to wheeling, and you're like, oh, I've noticed that somewhere. I've noticed that somewhere. That um, information, that data has already sprouted in in your mind. It has already taken residence in your mind. That is one of the things that one gathers. Imagine one is chanting Hare Krishna. Wheeling is a good place. Let's say New York. One is chanting Hare Krishna, and it's the last breath that one is taking. And somebody says, oh, such and such devotee or Maharaj has come from New York. You're like, New York? I know that place. Boom, that's the last breath. That is the mind. Understand? So if one is not diligent, then the mind starts accumulating a lot of data and information. A lot of data and information. Is it possible to prevent the mind from gathering so much information? Rishashringa's father tried to do that. It was a failure. Because someone or the other is always interested in you. You always are an asset to some other person. Always. Jad Bharat was standing in the middle of the field. He absolutely had no concerns with anyone, and everyone in the village had kind of rejected him. But come dacoits, and they are interested in Jad Bharat now. What did he do? Absolutely nothing to attract anyone's attention. But the nature of the material world is that as an existing being, you are always an asset to someone else. One is always an asset. Hence, one has to be very, very diligent. Okay? One must try not to over endeavor.
Probably on this point of one is always an asset. Are you saying that one should be careful that one is not exploited by others, and that's what you're saying by saying be diligent?
One should always be careful that one is focused on what one has fixed as one's goal in life. Despite that, people can try and exploit you. Despite that, it's possible. However, if one tries to protect oneself from being exploited by others, that could also be a distraction. So, trying to protect oneself is definitely necessary. As important, if not more important, is to try to be focused in life. The material world is a dangerous place, there's no doubt about it. So, if one gets an opportunity, if one realizes that this is a good opportunity, make or break, either I do it now or I break again. That means I'll take another birth and I'm not sure what is going to happen. Try and be focused. Yudhishthira Maharaj was supposed to be Ajata Shatru. At least that is what he is called, right? Yudhishthira Maharaj's name is Ajata Shatru. Yes or no? I mean, he's like, yeah, why do I want even 5 kingdoms? And Bhima is like, then what are we going to do? He's like, oh yeah, therefore we need at least 5 small villages. Otherwise, what are we going to do? All of us have been trained as janitors or kshatriyas. Basically, that is what we've been trained as. And now you're saying that we give up all the opportunities that we have, then how are we going to live? So Yudhishthira Maharaj was kind of, isn't it? So, anyways, uh, Ajata Shatru, still he had enemies. Ajata Shatru means one who doesn't have any enemies. I mean, a person having no animosity. If somebody has animosity towards that person, how does one even try to exploit that person? So the rational mind doesn't come up with an explanation. The material nature, the energy of the Supreme Lord, Mama Maya Durattaya, finds out a way that even such a person who can never ever feel animosity towards anyone else, material nature finds out the way to even distract such a person. That's how material energy is. It's like, okay, you're too good for yourself, let me test you. That is what material energy does. She wants to see whether we are true to our metal or not. She wants to see whether we are the real thing or not. She has to make sure about that. So, anyways, the point that is being, or that I wanted to express was that we have to be very careful because the material world is a dangerous place. We don't have to be afraid of the material world. We have to be sufficiently alert in the material world. Okay? All right. So, in the attempt of being very true, very honest in one's endeavor to make money, one has to be very careful that one doesn't get allured by the glitter of money. Money gives facilities, isn't it? Does it? Remember the days when we just were making $5,000 a month? Today we are making $15,000 a month or $20,000 a month. Still, it seems not enough. We can say inflation is there, but still, there's so many needs that are to be fulfilled. Again, if we come back to $5,000 a month, we'll still find a way to make do. The stress is also going to be there. So, what is the glitter of money? The glitter of money is it unknowingly, money unknowingly gives us the facility to become lazy in life. That's how money is. That's what comfort is. Unknowingly. When we were young, we used to have that story about the devil and God and a God fearing person. The devil tried so many ways to make this person go away from God. I don't remember the author now, it was some English author. Finally, the devil came up with a plan. The devil's agent started giving a lot of success to the man, a lot of success to the farmer. So the farmer had overabundance. Now the farmer started indulging in parties. Because what's a party? Party is that you have fun, right? What is fun? Fun means let's enjoy so that we don't remember that we were working like donkeys. We glorify each other, or we appreciate each other that we made it. This year, this quarter, we made 10 times profit. Everyone gets allowance. What is the allowance? Some bonus and a trip to Hawaii. Everyone is happy. Party time. Relax. Be a little lazy in life. No, I'm not saying that everyone is lazy. I'm saying that it gives you that opportunity to be lazy. So, if, unless and until, do you know that story about uh, uh, a millionaire and the millionaire's son? So, a millionaire and the millionaire's son had gone to downtown Pittsburgh to crack a deal. They had come in from, let's say, Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh. Big news in the tabloids. So the reporters come to seek some bites from them. All right. They find that the millionaire's son is living in top-notch penthouse suite, whereas the millionaire is living in one of those motels, one of the rooms in the motels. So now everyone's interested. Sir, why are you living here while your son is living in a penthouse suite? He says, his father is a billionaire. My father was a farmer. So he can afford a penthouse suite on his father's money. I can only afford a motel room on my father's money. You've never heard this before? My God, the internet is buzzing with such stories. The feel good stories, the ones that make us feel, at least after we've heard the story, we have corrected our compass. It's pointing north now, at least for the time being. So, yes. So, over endeavor, because over endeavor generally will give you results too. Sometimes it may not, but it will give you results too. However, the results will be in terms of overabundance. And when there is overabundance, one feels that it's like uh, I know some people here, uh, they are doing their residency, no? Trained to be a doctors. So they have to do their residency. So they have the option 8 hours for 6 days a week or 5 days a week, or you do 12 straight hours 3 days a week. Typically, they choose 12 hours every day for 3 days a week because now they can have an extra day to relax, a full day. to relax. Overabundance, it gives you the opportunity to be lazy. And when one has the opportunity to be lazy, laziness comes at a price. Laziness always comes at a price. Either your hard work or somebody else's hard work. Always. It's never free. If you want to be lazy and, you know, be in the dump yard, then somebody has to dump things in the dump yard for you. Somebody else's hard work. Or you want to be lazy on the couch, then you have to spend your money to buy that couch. Typically, that is what people do, no? Now we have a magnetic bed or we have a therapeutic bed. Oh, do you have any medical issues? Sometimes there's niggling pain, but I'm making sufficient money now. So I need a therapeutic bed. So laziness has a price tag too. So because of that, there's unnecessary increase in material comforts. Hence, one has to be very, very diligent. Externally, a grahastha has to be very, very focused on making the livelihood. Internally, the grahastha should realize that this is just for my bodily, physical, and mental needs. This is not for my satisfaction. This is just for the physical and mental needs of my family. This is not going to satisfy me. My satisfaction is in self realization. So, internally, that is how a grahastha should act. How is it possible for a grahastha to act like that? It is possible for the grahastha to act like that typically in their dreams. Dreams, everyone should have dreams, right? So, for a grahastha to achieve that, one can have that as a dream in life. One day I'll retire and simply go to Vrindavan and chant. Good dreams. So, trying to be self realized internally while being focused on your work externally is achievable in dreams. Because if you want to make it a reality, then a grahastha should be detached from material gains, should be attached to the results but detached from material gains. Does that make sense? Because if you're not attached to the result, you won't work. But if you're detached from the material gains, you'll use that work for purposes that helps you be self-realized. Now, if I make a statement that you should be detached from your result, no motivation at all motivation goes away. Then we'll go to some other form of Krishna that allows motivation, that if you do this on a Tuesday, then I will give special mercy. Form of Krishna. Correct? Like if you pull the Ratha card of Lord Jagannath, then you are guaranteed moksha. Every year we want to go and pull, as if 1 year of pulling is not enough. We want extra insurance. So that is a good form of Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna may not work. Pulling of the card may work. So let's do that. So we become a little distracted to other forms of Krishna because of attachment to material gains. Therefore, a grahastha should be detached from material gains. Dealings with family members and friends should be performed simply to fulfill the purpose of their occupational duties. One should try and not be extravagant, not go overboard. This is very helpful. Many years ago, I read this interesting story about a pandit. also freedom fighter, also the person who was the inspiration behind the establishment of Banaras Hindu University. Malwa se the. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya. So Malviya ji went to the king of Kashi and he said, "Hey, we need an university for Hindus." So he said, "Take this tract of land that becomes BHU, the Banaras Hindu University." Malviya ji would cook his own food throughout. He had an assistant for help in his other bodily needs, but cooking he would do by himself. One day, his grandson, who used to live just next door, means same building but maybe in another room, the son of his grandson comes and says, "Grandfather, can you give me some breakfast? I'm hungry." So the assistant tries to bring something from the kitchen. He stops him and says, "No." He tells his grandson, "Go and ask your mother." So the assistant, "Go and ask your mother for breakfast." So the assistant is a little bewildered. So he asks him, "Malviya ji, why didn't you give food to your grandson?" He said, "I could give food to my grandson, but he'll not be able to digest that food." Simple roti and vegetables. He says, "No, the food I cook has the energy of my tapasya. This child is too young." His mother still feels that this is my child. Me, I've raised up my son. I've got my son married, and I've told him, "Now you have your life. You live your life." So I can see how the child will be affected. Interesting story. What do you think the child is going to learn growing up? He'll ask his mother, and his mother will say, "Yes, because bacha, you see, I still have this affection for you, this connection for you." So because of this connection, the food has those vibrations. When we say we should use Krishna Prasad, that Prasad has vibrations of Krishna. It's really very powerful. Very powerful. So the child may grow up and also understand this finer details, can have that finer understanding of dealings. Now, if this goes viral, no, I'm in a soup. Big controversy.
We're not recorded.
There's always ether. So, no extravagance, no extravagant engagement with family members. Affection that is needed, affection that is healthy, try and not go overboard. In essence, the Grahastha should be engaged in occupational duties as advised by the spiritual master and Shastra. And typically, in every family, the head of the family is a spiritual master. Typically, there's always a head of the family, somebody who's very, very particular about their behavior, their dealings. Every cultured family has that. Prabhupada would say, "My father gave me everything that I understood about Krishna, and then my spiritual master especially fine tuned it." I'm paraphrasing it. So every family has someone to look up to, always, a cultured family. So here, occupational duties in a family for a grahastha, the advice is available from the family member. One also has a spiritual master who teaches us philosophical understanding of our practices, who is very, very respectable. So that is about occupation. Then it is about the grihastha should be a grihastha should be very affectionate towards other living entities, especially those that can be domesticated and are dependent on yourself, on the grihastha. It has been stated that even before you can save the baby in your cradle from the house that is on fire, one should try and save the domesticated animals that have been tied up inside the khan, the shala, whether it's Gaushala or Hasti Shala or whatever. Why? Because the baby needs help. There are so many others that can help the baby. However, you are the only person that can untie the domesticated animals. All right. There's Puranas make a statement like basically what they're saying is that a grihastha also has duties towards other living entities, especially those that are not as evolved as humans are. So the first roti that one cooks is offered to an animal. Some water is always kept for animals to come and drink or birds to come and drink. Grains are always kept outside in the open space in front the front yard for birds to come and peck, worms to come and eat. You keep enough sweet at a little distance away, either in a backyard or front yard, a ball of jaggery. You keep it there so that the ants can come there and eat. In your field, you always leave a small forested area or a dense bush so that the creepy crawlies can take shelter there. Did you know that these are some of the aspects that one has to follow in village life? Or we think that village life is simply Vrindavan villages and we'll all be gopas and gopis and we'll have flutes and we'll go dancing behind the cows. So, a grahastha's duty is to be affectionate towards the lower animals, too. Very affectionate. One should provide their necessities, one should not exploit them for sense gratification. In this way, a grahastha is actually a friend to all the living entities too. Whatever a grahastha has should be used, should be equally distributed to all living entities without discrimination. Not that, oh, my dog is my special dog. Like Krishna, he never had any special monkey. Like you, little Krishna has Dadi Lobha. So Krishna's monkey is called Dadi Lobha, but when you distribute butter, it's not like Dadi Lobha, you take the pot and distribute to others. And you know what happens when somebody gets a pot of butter? They are very careful to keep enough for themselves. So Grahastha should never discriminate. The reason is lower entities are dependent on you. They have no other facility. So one should try and be indiscriminate in distributing their needs. The best thing to distribute, therefore, is prasad. Therefore, a grahastha has to go out of the house and a grahastha has to go into the cow shed or the animal shed and first feed the animals prasad, then sit down. If we read the description of Govardhan Leela, then we find that that is what the cowherd men did. They fed everyone else, they fed the cows, they fed the animals, and finally they sat down to eat. So Grahastha has to earn a lot so that distribute a lot and have sufficient for oneself. Is that all right? So Grahastha does not only have to support sannyasis, brahmacharis, not just that. That is just one small quadrant of the Grihastha's occupational duty. According to Narad Muni, all right, he's just speaking to Yudhishthir Maharaj. Okay. Whatever money a Grihastha accumulates by grace of God should be spent in 5 activities: worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, receiving the devotees of the Lord and saintly persons, distributing prasad to the general public and all living entities, offering prasad to one's ancestors, and offering prasad to oneself. What are the 5 activities? Please repeat.
Worshipping the Supreme Personality.
Worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Receiving the devotees.
receiving the devotees of the Lord and saintly persons. Even if it is a Mayavadi, receive them and then have a nice discussion with them. All right? Prabhupada says, if you see a Mayavadi sannyasi and you don't offer obeisances, you should fast on that day. Do you know where Prabhupada says that? On the internet. In the Bhagavad Gita purport, one of the purports he says that. If you see a Mayavadi sannyasi and if you are not offering obeisances to that sannyasi, you should fast in repentance. So, receiving saintly persons too. Third, distributing prasad. Two, distributing prasad to
General public.
and other living entities, especially other living entities. Okay. Fourth,
Offering prasad to ancestors.
yes, भूले भटके लोग, मतलब we are भूले भटके, they can give आशीर्वाद. Fifth, to oneself. In this way, a grihastha should be ready to worship everyone as mentioned above. Grihastha should visit holy places of pilgrimage as mentioned in the Puranas. So there is a new Purana that has come up. Actually, it is in proper tradition. That new Purana is called as Srimad Bhagavatam, translated and purports given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. That is also Purana. There is a Bhagavad Puran that Vyasadeva has given, and there is a Srimad Bhagavatam Puran, which is a commentary on the Bhagavatam Puran that Bhagavad Puran that Vyasadeva has given. However, translation and purports have been given by His Divine Grace. So, according to that Puran, the reason I'm mentioning that is, according to the Puran, the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, purports given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and Iskcon temple is also a place of pilgrimage. All right? You won't find that in Vyasadev's Puran. You won't find this mentioned that Iskcon temple is also a place of pilgrimage. You won't find it in Vyasadev's Bhagavad Puran. Therefore, this is also Puran. Okay? Thus says Narad Muni to Yudhishthir Maharaj. In this way, the Grihastha should fully engage in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the benefit of one's family, for the benefit of one's society, for the benefit of one's country and humanity at large. We'll stop. I'm on time, I guess. Any questions? Any comments?
Prabhuji, thank you so much for the class. I think you picked the right chapter today, Prabhuji.
I did?
So, can you elaborate on that? Get attached to the results. Because I heard it the other way around. Don't get attached to the result. It is the
Why don't you get it clarified from them? You say, I heard that.
I can confirm because
A lot of
Midara very attached to the results.
One has to have attachment for the results. However, one cannot enjoy the results for oneself. For example, if I want to cook, I have to be attached to the result that it should be a good preparation. Supposing I'm detached, Krishna will take care. So then it will be one of those exceptional cases that You'll hear a doorbell ring and somebody says, "Can I help you? I just thought that you're cooking and you need help, sir." So that will not happen. Krishna will not come in that form for us. All right. So we have to be focused on cooking, and we can only be focused on cooking properly if we know that the result has to be good. After we have cooked, we offer it to Krishna. Krishna, you enjoy. So in that sense, be attached to the result, but be detached from material enjoyment. Is that all right? You're welcome. Anything else? Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.